Hey friends, I just wanted to make a short video to share a theory I've been working on and researching. I don't have it all worked out yet, but I've been sharing little bits of the theory as it has unfolded with members only in private videos. But I'm excited about it now and I want to share it with everyone. We've learned about this group of Christians called the Chorepiscopoi. When we read about an early church service, the video is called You'll Never Look at the Church Service the Same Way Again. And we read from the Synod of Laodicea, the various roles of those in the early church, what they did, and bishops. They classified bishops, but they had a special classification of people called Chorepiscopoi, who were the descendants of the 70 talked about in Luke chapter 10, right? Christ had the 12 apostles, but then he had the 70 disciples that he gave supernatural powers to, sent them out. They came back, reported what had happened. And then in Acts, many of them, if not all of them, are said to be in the upper room when the Holy Spirit comes. So then in the early church, I keep seeing references made to these Chorepiscopoi because they had special jobs. I see things where it's like, the rules are this way, and it's only for bishops unless you're a Chorepiscopoi. If you're that, you're good to go. And let me give you a couple examples, and I'll tell you my theory at the end of it. At the Synod of Laodicea, in Canon 26, they who have not been promoted to that office by the bishop ought not to adjure either in churches or in private houses. Don't catechize or teach the faith unless you've been ordained to do so. But listen to what it says. Some were in the habit of adjuring, that is, catechizing unbelievers who had never received the imposition of the bishop's hands for that purpose. And when they were accused of doing so, contend that as they did not do in the church, but only in someone's home, so it was okay. They could not be considered as deserving any punishment. For this reason, the fathers rule that even to adjure is an ecclesiastical ministry. It shall and must not be executed by anyone who shall not have been promoted thereto by a bishop, but the exorcist must be accepted who has been promoted by a Chorepiscopoi. Interesting. Now let's flip back to Canon 10 from the Council of Antioch. It says, the Holy Synod decrees that persons in villages and districts or those who are called Chorepiscopoi, even though they may have received ordination to the episcopate, shall regard their own limits and manage the church as subject to them. They are the only ones that can train exorcists. Well, who are exorcists dealing with? They have a similar meaning to what it would mean today, but it is slightly different. However, I want to refer back to what we read the other day about the early church service, because there was a group of people called the energumens. And these people in the church were allowed to participate, but they were people who were considered to be under possession. But we'd also classify, drug addicts, prostitutes, people living a rough life. They were the special project of the Chorepiscopoi. Now, here's my theory. We always think of the term apostolic succession as if it's a big thing and they are the ones who would have passed down the legitimate Christian faith. And we think of the 12 apostles, apostolic succession. But Jesus also gave these 70, the Chorepiscopoi, he gave them special powers too. They were in the upper room too. And clearly they were greatly respected in the early church. And who knows what process they had for determining who would get the laying on of the hands to become the subsequent generations of Chorepiscopoi. We've also found a lot of discrepancies using the Liber Pontificalis, which is a good book because the editors from time are honest. It is the book of the popes, and it allegedly lists the popes, which modern Roman Catholics claim are the apostolic succession of Peter. But we've proved 10 times over that that is not the case, and not in a negative way, just by showing church history. For example, one of the ways we showed was that in order to avoid persecution while Christianity was still against the law, sometimes the church in Rome would say to the emperor, hey, give us one of your guys to be bishop because then we won't get persecuted. It was a very honest, well-intentioned deal. We see situations like with the 15th Bishop of Rome, Victor, where during the Quarto Decimonism controversy, Jewish Christians versus Gentile Christians, where he sides against Irenaeus and Polycarp, legit apostolic pupils only once removed from John the Evangelist by Ignatius. So my theory challenge is that perhaps apostolic succession wasn't limited to just the 12, but that apostolic succession also came through the core episcopoi, which is a really cool idea if you think about the potential that the 70, or some number of the 70, who Jesus had imparted gifts to, continued at least through the early 300s. Maybe we lose track of them, but that means that somebody today is walking around as descendants, many people, of having had hands laid on by the core episcopoi. I've never read this discussed anywhere, but there's all these hints that keep pointing to it. It's really interesting. It is absolutely my speculation, friends. I think it's a very interesting one. It is worthy of consideration because, I'm finding it in records, but wow, right? Makes you want to go back at Luke 10 and look at the 70 again. What happened? What they went out and did, what they came back and reported to Jesus. And we know now, verifiably in our objective sources, that the core episcopoi were passed down. Are they the ones that represent true apostolic succession? With no offense at all to Roman Catholics, right? We know history is teaching us that anything happening in Rome proper prior to 400 is up in the air. We're reading records from the Middle Ages where it's clear that after the fall of Rome in 476, later popes do have a succession, a legitimate succession, and they're trying to figure out what they believed early and when they believed it, and they're writing letters to their counterparts in the East and saying, hey, do you guys have these canons among you because we don't have these ones? A lot of this stuff we haven't gotten into yet, but we will start to get into in this next part of the New Christian History of the Church, part 14, because we're talking about the First Council of Constantinople. And I know I fibbed. I said that was going to be part 13, but this part about Mary just had to go before it. So anyway, what do you think about this idea of apostolic succession via the core episcopoi? Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.